You can actually print your film negatives onto a Polaroid. Okay, they're actually positives, but it's still pretty cool. The process is a little tedious, but the results are so worth it. And big shout out to Sean Lennon 1947 for suggesting this idea. A few things before we start. You're gonna need a dark bag or a dark room because unlike with Instax film, we aren't relying on solarization. And if you're sitting there saying, "What the hell is even that?" then you need to go watch my Instax contact sheet video after this one. This process definitely works better with 120 film. My 35mm film strips kept sliding around while I was doing it. Sometimes they even got ejected with the dark slide before I even got to shoot. Maybe you'll have better luck, but yeah. And lastly, you're gonna need color positive film like Ektachrome. If you try this with color negative film, you'll just get a negative image on your Polaroid, which is kinda neat, I guess. We can do better. Here's how it works. Grab a fresh pack of Polaroid film. Lay your developed color positive film directly on top of the dark slide. And make sure you don't throw away the dark slide because you're gonna need it again later. I've had the best success tucking the film under these little plastic tabs in the cartridge. Now load your cartridge into your Polaroid camera. I'm using the Now Plus. Then take the photo pointing at something super bright. A window works, but I also tested with a small video light and a softbox. At that point, your Polaroid's gonna eject the photo and you're good to go. If you're not using a brand new pack of film, you're gonna have to remove the cartridge from your Polaroid camera in the dark. Then carefully put the dark slide back in and repeat the same steps. And make sure this little tabby thing from your dark slide is lined up with the top left-hand corner of the cartridge so that it ejects properly. Here are a few tips that might help you along the way. Using my lights gave me pretty consistent results, but honestly, I found shooting through the window to be a little bit more interesting. I ended up incidentally getting texture from the trees, which I think actually adds to the look. Just be mindful of your composition when you're doing it because the background definitely can overlap with the negative. And the way you set your exposure on your Polaroid is gonna play a huge role in how these photos end up looking. Every photo is different, so I don't have a magical setting to tell you to use, but generally speaking, I found overexposing worked a little bit better. Make sure when you're laying your film down that the emulsion side is facing up. And the way you can make sure you're doing this right is your images shouldn't be reversed, they should be facing you, and the name of the film should be forwards, not backwards. This is definitely easier to do when there's more frames in the pack. As you get down to the last 2 frames, there's less tension in there, and it's way more possible for your negatives to slip and slide, especially using 35mm. And as always with stuff like this, make sure you're ready to waste a few frames because, you know, believe it or not, this is not how Polaroid film is meant to be used. And remember, if all this sounds like too much work or you don't have a darkroom or something like that, you can do all this with Instax film, and it's way simpler. Now here's the stuff I don't love about this process. There's a very high chance of scratching up your film, especially if it gets ejected through the rollers. Not a huge fan of that. Another issue is I don't shoot a lot of color positive film, so this isn't exactly super practical for me. And finally, you're definitely gonna need to cut up your negatives so that they fit in the cartridge better, which totally wrecks my archiving system. Thanks, I hate it. But overall, it's still a really fun experiment that you should try out. And I think I finally found the trick to making Polaroid film behave. Just never leave your house. Inside, under controlled conditions, it's not too hot for Polaroids to actually work. It's perfect. So just stay in your office and don't have any friends. Anyway, if you try this out, I'd love to see it. Tag me on Instagram or drop it on Discord. Until next time, my precious little eggies, bye-bye.
Like and subscribe. Sweet Lou Photography. Down.